We're going to continue from our topic yesterday a little bit about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how he is one form of Krishna, and how we should take the Leela of Mahaprabhu along with Krishna. In order to understand Krishna Leela, we must also try to meditate and realize Gaur Leela, and they go together. So if we don't understand Chaitanya's Leela, then we won't fully understand the speciality of Krishna Leela. That's why it's very important to understand them together. And it's nice because when at present in Vilapa Kusumanjali we're learning this verse and discussing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the 5th verse. Yo mam dustarage hanirjala maha kupada parakdamat satya sandradhyam buddhi prakritita svairi kriparajudi udrityatma sarojanindi charana prantam prapadya svayam Shri Damodhara Satchakaratamaham Chaitanya Chandram Svache. So in his commentary, Gurudev talks about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being what he describes as the guru of all cheaters. This is Gurudev's description. So I thought it was nice because it tied into what you were talking about yesterday, how Krishna is so roguish, and yet the gopis are completely devoted to him without, they don't even shake a little bit in their devotion to him. So Gurudev says that when we think about Mahaprabhu, we think that he is... Yeah, this is what Gurudev said, that he is the guru of all cheaters. And he says, when we think about Mahaprabhu, we think he is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We don't think he is Krishna. When you think of or when we see the deity of Chaitanya, he says, generally we think of him as a personality separate from Krishna, or we think of him as Mahaprabhu, but really, he is actually just Krishna. Gurudev mentions that point. But he says, if we look at the teachings of our gurus, actually our gurus all teach that he is Krishna, but Krishna is a great cheater. However, he is not more of a cheater than Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is also a cheater. He says that Krishna cheated some people, but Mahaprabhu cheated everyone. This is how Gurudev... So we'll try to understand more from Gurudev's commentary, what he has to say, He says that Krishna cheated some people, but Mahaprabhu cheated everyone. Why is that? Because he says that Mahaprabhu took this golden color of Srimati Radhika, and he took all the moods of Srimati Radhika, and he took on this form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is dressing as a sannyasi, but really he is just Krishna. But he is tricking everyone. That's why he's saying he's cheating everyone. Even now, when people talk about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, most people don't accept that he is Krishna. It's only in our specific faith that we understand he is none other than Krishna. But if you look outside, they think of him as some kind of social figure or a devotee. But our acharyas teach that actually he is just Krishna. And when we look at him, if we understand correctly, we see he is just Krishna. But at the same time, he has the mood that he is Srimati Radhika. But Gurudev said he is a cheater because he is tricking everyone. He is actually in the dress of a sannyasi, in the golden complexion, as a devotee, but really he is none other than Krishna. So it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek that thing. But he says he is, another word he uses is Lampat Guru. That's when Gurudev said he is the guru of all cheaters. Lampat means someone who is like a rogue, like you mentioned yesterday. He's a lampat. Like in the last verse of Shikshastakam, he says, Slishava padaratang panastumam adarshanam marmahatang karotu va tatu lampato. Lampata means someone who is very mischievous or naughty or like a rogue, where they are not faithful to one person, or they're always acting in kind of tricky, mischievous ways. So he says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lampat Guru, the guru of all cheaters. That's Gurudev's direct quote. He says that there may be hundreds and thousands of cheaters, but that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the guru of all of them. And he has taken this sannyas vesh, or the sannyas cloth. And what does that cloth represent? That cloth represents the kumkum that is adorning the bodies of the gopis. That he is dressing himself in the cloth that is colored by the love of the gopis. That's called kumkum nichitam. The gopis use this kumkum, which is like a reddish flower pollen, and they decorate their chest. And so Mahaprabhu wore that color. So he is golden with the color of Srimati Radhika, and then his cloth is the color of the gopis' love or anurag. And in this way he is always absorbed in meditating upon Radhika and the Sakhis, Lalita, Vishaka. So Gurudev is quoting a verse by Narahari Chakravarti Thakur. And that's when he describes him to be this Lampat Guru. That's why he says, Kumkum Kena Nichitam, that he is dressing in the cloth that is the color of the gopis, kumkum. So he said that now we think also Mahaprabhu is completely imbued with the moods of Radhika. But actually he is Krishna. He has taken Radhika's color and her mood and is acting like her. But actually he is Krishna. So we have a verse that says, Antar Krishna Bahir Gaur. That internally he is Krishna, but outwardly he appears like the devotee or like Srimati Radharani. If we see this Radha Raman Didi in Vrindavan, said Radha Raman is actually Radhika inside and Krishna outside. It's opposite. Like Mahaprabhu is Radhika outside and Krishna inside. But Radha Raman is Radhika inside and Krishna outside. Meaning he has the mood of Mahaprabhu or the mood of Radharani. This mood of Radharani is there, but outside he is appearing like Krishna. And that's why with Radha Raman you don't see any deity of Radharani. All the other deities have Radharani with them. But Radha Raman is only Krishna. It's because internally he is also only Krishna or Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu had promised to come to Gopal Bhatta Goswami in one form. And so he appeared in that form of Radha Raman. So he is Mahaprabhu, but he is also Radharani, and externally he appears to be Krishna. So he's also tricking everyone in that way. So it's just one kind of sweet thing. Alright. So, what else? So Radhika as Gadadhar, she witnesses Mahaprabhu's Leela and she instructs him. But it's like he is acting in one way. So Gurudev makes that point that Radhika doesn't lose her own separate personality. When Krishna takes the mood of Radhika, Radhika doesn't become zero. It said Radhika came in Gaur Leela as Gadadhar Pandit, who we worship here. And it said, he makes the point that if someone is acting as us in a drama and we are witnessing, we don't lose our personality. We're still the witness of that. So Radhika is witnessing Mahaprabhu enacting her role of the devotee or someone who is in love with Krishna. So it's interesting because we cannot say that, like, on one hand, we know Mahaprabhu is not a cheater. No. But it makes the point that sometimes the Vaishnavas have to act in such a way to trick us. Like a mother or a father may trick their child in order to get them to do something that is helpful for them. So Mahaprabhu is also, we see Guru Vaishnavas also may be like that. It's called in Sanskrit aparokshavad, which means they give an indirect teaching. So you may not be ready to accept something if they tell you it in a straightforward manner. They may have to speak in an indirect way, and then afterwards when you realize what they were trying to do and how they helped you, then you will feel gratitude to them. But Vaishnavas don't always act in a straightforward way. They say in Vraj everything is crooked. You see Krishna is crooked, he's bending in three places, Trivanga. Jamuna is crooked. The Brajavasis are all like crooked and indirect. You see, this is the nature of the Brajavasis, and Vaishnavas also. Rudy likes to say, they may say they are going this way, one way, and then they'll go the other way. They may say they will do one thing, but they do something else. They said this is called like the Lampat Sampradaya. The crooked or cheater sampradaya. Also, it's said that for materialistic people, they will trick them. So some people may come to them for something mundane or ordinary, and they will trick them, or they will appear to be dumb before them, very foolish. They'll hide their true qualities. So in that way, they can also trick people. That in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse that really tells this verse, the Kurma verse, that they will withdraw all their senses within them, like a tortoise draws its limbs within a shell. So he gives the example that when worldly people come around the sadhus, they will appear like dumb and ignorant, so that these people don't engage them in many kinds of material ideas and conceptions and activities. We see in the Bhagavatam the story of Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat was like a pure devotee and very wise, but in society appeared just like a dumb, foolish person, mute and completely dumb. And internally, that way, he was able to completely focus on his cultivation of his internal spiritual life. So I said, in this life, we also need to learn how to be somewhat tricky if we want to be able to advance nicely in spiritual life. So another example of this is that in Parakiya Ras, where we want to worship Krishna in the mood of the gopis, they don't have a direct relationship with Krishna. If Krishna were to come and say he wants to have a relationship with him, they only criticize him. We heard yesterday that Radharani will defend Krishna to another gopi. When Krishna came in the form of a gopi and began to criticize himself, Radhika defended Krishna. But if Krishna comes directly to Radharani, she'll criticize him also. And all the gopis. That at Dan Gati, when Krishna stopped the gopis from passing, you know the story of Dan Gati? It was a very sweet pastime that when the gopis were carrying pots of yogurt and butter and sweets, and they were at Govardhan, there's a very narrow passageway, and that they had to pass through every day to take their goods to where they were going, right? So Krishna went with his friends and blocked the path and told them that they had to give tax to him. So he said, you have to give tax of all your sweets, yogurt, everything. He said, I am the king of Braj, and without giving me tax, you cannot pass. So then the gopis challenged his claim that he was the king of Braj. And he said, he gave all these different reasons, and they said, we don't accept it. They said, actually, Brinda is in charge. She is the queen of Vrindavan. Vrindavan comes from the name Brinda. So they said, Brinda, this one gopi, she is the actual ruler of Vrindavan. So Krishna said, oh, Brinda is my wife. And any property that is of the wife is also the property of the husband. So therefore this land is also my land. So they said, you can call her forward then. They said, we don't accept that she is your wife. That no gopi would want to marry you. No father or mother would give their girl to you in marriage. Everyone knows that Krishna is dark, a cheater, rascal. No one wants to have any relationship with him. So they called Brinda forward, and Brinda, to his face, began to criticize him so much. And all the gopis began to laugh and tease him, And that time, then he said, okay, anyhow, it was like they had defeated him in argument, but he said, now might's right, we're here, and we won't let you pass unless you give us tax. So he took tax from all the gopis, and said it was a way for him to take all their love. Even though the gopis bring all these things just to offer to him, but if they offer it directly, then it's not as sweet. And so in order to make the relationship be more sweet, then they deal with it in this kind of indirect manner. It's called Parakiya Ras, where they show externally they don't love him or they don't like him, and they'll criticize him, and then he'll also tease them and taunt them, and they'll have this kind of sweet relationship like that. Directly they'll say, no one ever wants to be with you. No one's parents would ever want to be with you. And when all the gopis were married in Braj, it said that during 1 year, if you know the story when Brahma stole the cowherd boys and the calves, do you know that story? Okay, so Lord Brahma, he had doubt that Krishna could be God. And so he stole all his calves and all his friends and hid them in a cave. Lord Brahma is the creator, right? And really he is the son of Lord Narayan. And he didn't accept that Krishna could be God, even though everyone was saying he was God. He saw different pastimes that made Krishna look to be like God, like he killed this great demon Agasura, this great python. And afterwards the soul came out of the demon and entered Krishna's toe. And so he was confused. And he also saw that Krishna was eating yogurt and rice while walking in the forest with his left hand. And it said that you're not supposed to eat with your left hand. And also he was taking a sweet and putting it in the mouth of his friend and then eating their remnants. So Brahma was thinking, how can he be God? He's acting like a naughty boy. He's stealing butter and he's doing all these mischievous activities. How could he ever be God? So he thought, I'll test him. So he stole all the calves and all the cows, all his friends. So he said at that time, for 1 year this pastime went on, that the main calves and suckers were gone, that Krishna goes every day to the forest with. So at that time, Krishna assumed all their forms. He expanded himself and he assumed all their forms. And it said that at that time, all the gopis wanted to marry Krishna. But they knew that alone they couldn't all marry him directly. Why? There's millions of gopis and how could they all marry one Krishna? So the pastimes were arranged in such a way that Krishna expanded his forms into all these forms of the cowherd boys. And at that time it said that all the different elders in Braj said, now this is the most auspicious year to arrange marriages. So they all got married to Krishna during that year in the form of all the different boys. All the different gopis were married to Krishna, but it was indirect. So in Braj everything is like that, parakya. They all married him, but no one married Krishna directly. That's the twist. And so Krishna was the only one who was left out. And he was also feeling a little bit sad, like nobody likes me, Even though he had taken on all these forms of the boys through his mystic powers, and he was married to all of them directly, but still no one chose him directly himself. So this is kind of the way the pastimes work in this indirect manner. Okay, so then one quick more thing and then we'll learn a verse. In this world also it said that we can practice parakya ras in kind of a beginning way. Parakya ras means basically we offer our heart but we keep it hidden externally. We don't show it. Said like don't show your love on the outside because then it's very easy for it to be diffused. They give the example of camphor. If you have camphor in a box closed, then its scent will remain there with it. But if you keep camphor out in the open, then quickly its scent will vanish into the air. So they say with your love that as you develop in your bhajan and you develop love for Krishna or you develop in your spiritual life, you can keep it hidden to some extent. And especially when you're living in society, externally you can go about all your activities without letting people know of your internal development. I said you should be careful not to show your moods externally so much. It said, apana bhajana kata na kahivo jata tata. Don't disclose the inner secrets of your worship or your internal meditation to the public. You should keep it hidden like camphor. And that way your love can mature and develop. And so the Vaishnavas give the example that we can do that in our life. At the end of Gurudev's biography, this story is given that there's an example that Mahaprabhu himself would say. It's one verse. It's called Paravyasini Nari Vyagra Grihasu Karmasu. That just like a woman who is married, but she has a lover outside of her marriage. So it said that she will work very hard at her home, doing all her different chores and duties, so that no one becomes suspicious of her. And so she does everything very nicely in her home, serves everyone very nicely, cooks and cleans, and everyone's very happy with her. Everyone has trust in her. And then she'll be able to take out a little bit of time, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour here and there, to spend time with her beloved. So we don't follow it in the mundane sense, but the example is given that if we want to develop in our spiritual life and develop this love for God, generally in society, not everyone's favorable towards this. Some people, it's very rare to find a real friend who will help you develop in this. Most people want you to live with both feet in this world, and take care of all your work in this world. So it said you should, parakya ras means you can be indirect or trick these people by maintaining your facade of activities in this world and living your dharma, doing your material activities. But at the same time, so no one doubts you, no. But then you can take some time out for your own spiritual development in a way that maintains its like hidden nature. That's why we like to wake up early in the morning. We see Vaishnavas, they wake at like 2 in the morning, chant 32 rounds before even seeing anyone. Gurudev would chant 64 rounds before even coming in contact with anyone. And if anyone would come and disturb Gurudev when he was doing his bhajan, he would be very upset. Because he said at that time Vaishnavas are internally absorbed in their spiritual forms, in their identities in Krishna Lila. And then during the daytime they perform their activities like normal people. And then people don't know what are they really doing. The same with Vaishnavas here. That's why they're called cheaters, right? Because it looks like they're doing one thing, but really they're doing something else. And they can be running, they can be talking and meeting with everyone, while internally they're absorbed in a completely different realm. Because if people are on an ordinary level, they cannot appreciate or understand what they're doing in the transcendental realm. So it said that that's an example of what we can try to cultivate. He said that in this world we shouldn't disturb others. We live our life, we may help our families, we serve everyone. At the same time we should try to develop in this understanding that everything here is temporary. These are not our eternal home. The body is temporary. Relationships attached to this body are also temporary. And we're trying to progress in the spiritual path to realize our true eternal nature and our true spiritual relationship and enter that transcendental realm. So we can live in that way. You see, if you live too much, like if you're directly like Mirabai, for example. She was a great devotee and her parents tried to get her married and she said, no, I'm already married to Krishna. And they said, how can you be married to some stone deity? And she was very stubborn about it. They got her married to some prince and she was completely neglecting him, so they became so angry. They were abusing her and doing so many kinds of like bad things to her. It said, better you hide it until you're very strong and mature. It said when a creeper is very, like a sprout, is very young, it's fragile. Once your devotion develops into a strong tree, then nothing can harm it. Then it can give shelter to others. So it's said that in our own bhakti, or devotional life, we shouldn't try to show ourselves off so much until we become very mature. That's one of the lessons, that when we're young in our devotion, we keep it very closed and protected and hidden. And then as it matures, it becomes like a strong tree. Then it can give shade to others, fruits to others, and help to others. But first we need to develop ourselves. Vaishnavas also say that when we're first starting to follow, we get very happy, enthusiastic, and then we try to share it with everyone. But it's like when you get new rains after the dry season, then all the grass grows up very quickly. But that time, it's also very, like the first rains actually, if you drink the water from the first rains, it's filled with different toxins. You have to be very careful of that time actually. So it said you have to pass through that time, and then after some time, then you can start to, come more out of your shell. That's one of the ideas. Okay, so we. No, it's just that it's like sometimes it's like too much protein, too many vitamins. So we have to be careful at that time. They say when in the summer season, that's like the first stage of spiritual life, and then when the rainy season comes, then all the water becomes muddy, and everything becomes even more a little dirty. And so you wait till after that monsoon season goes by, and then the autumn season comes, and then everything becomes very clean. So the first stage of it's like constant downpour of rain when you are starting a spiritual life. But you need to be patient in that stage and not try to run around, waving your flag. You have to be a little patient at that time and try to mature and spend time in deep spiritual practice. Sometimes, everyone, it's not like day 2 in spiritual life we become Buddha and then we want to start our own religion, So basically it's saying that we should be patient in our practice and wait till we're fully matured before we try to start saving the world. A lot of people get this idea that, I want to save the world. But first we have to learn how to be matured ourselves, otherwise we won't really be able to help anyone. The example is given like trying to help a drowning person without knowing how to swim. Then we'll both drown. Instead, it's better to use our resources in getting someone who knows how to swim to help them. But if we learn how to swim, meaning if we're spiritually mature and we can help others, then we go to hell. Before that, we should maintain, some patience. Okay, questions? Good. Let's learn that first verse of Jivitattva.